Thus, he felt grief and indignation, a raging fire burning deep within his heart. So, he made a solemn vow to the 9 nether demon gods. Even if his body and soul turned to ashes, he would illuminate this faint light. Zhang Xiaofan slowly opened his eyes, the soft light entered his eyes, and the familiar scent of home filled the room. It seemed that no one was here. He sat up slowly, about to wipe the sweat from his forehead with his hand, but suddenly felt intense pain in his shoulders, chest, and abdomen, his face turning pale with pain. He sat on the bed, dared not move again. After a long time, the piercing pain gradually subsided. It should be afternoon now. The door was ajar, the windows were open, and through them, he could vaguely see the lush green grass and bamboo in the courtyard. Little Gray and Big Yellow, who always followed Little Gray, were nowhere to be seen. Could they have found some meaty bones again? He chuckled to himself, laughing at the empty room. Creak, the door pushed open, and Su dignified and beautiful, walked in. Zhang Xiaofan's body moved, calling out, "Master." But before he could get up, his face cut. Su scolded him with a glance. "You've lost half your life, and you still have the mind to remember this. Stop the nonsense and sit properly." Zhang Xiaofan smiled awkwardly, and ling thunder. "Although Senior Luzweki's cultivation is not enough, if it weren't for your artifact, I'm afraid even the immortals would be powerless." Zhang Xiaofan, upon hearing her words, suddenly remembered and looked around, but couldn't find the ugly black fire stick. Su looked at him and said faintly, "Your artifact was taken by your master." Zhang Xiaofan paused for a moment and whispered, "Okay." Then he couldn't help but ask again, "What about my master?" Su said, "You were unconscious for 5 days and 5 nights. Your condition only stabilized last night, early this morning, asking your master to go there. He should be at Tongshan Peak now." Zhang Xiaofan nodded slowly, feeling indescribable in his heart. He felt that there shouldn't be any problem, but for the first time in these 2 years, when that fire stick left him, he couldn't help but feel a vague sense of loss. Su glanced at him, but still said, "You just woke up? Don't tire yourself out. Rest more. I've instructed them not to disturb you. Essential book will bring your meals." Zhang Xiaofan said, "Thank you, master." Su nodded and said, "Then rest. I'll have essential book bring your meals later." Saying that, she turned and walked out. Just as she was about to leave the room, she suddenly heard Zhang Xiaofan calling out from behind, "Master." Su turned around and said, "What?" Zhang Xiaofan looked at her, hesitated for a moment, and then said, "Master, I want to ask, do you know the result of lynching you from Longshu Peak's competition? When I was on Tongshan Peak, I was too busy to ask him clearly." Su looked at him again and said, "He entered the top 8, but was defeated by senior brother Cha Hao of the same sect." Zhang Xiaofan was taken aback for a moment and said, "So he..." "Thank you, master." Su shook her head slightly and said, "Rest well." Then she turned and walked away. Zhang Xiaofan slowly lay down, staring at the ceiling of the room, silent. On the Tongshan Peak of Qingyun Mountain and the Yuking Hall, everyone remained silent. ZhuXian lowered his eyebrows and looked at the black fire stick in his hand. "Junior brother Tia." ZhuXian broke the silence and asked, "What do you think?" Tia Bai remained silent and said, "At the beginning when Zhang Xiaofan came to the mountain, he didn't have this item. Most likely, he obtained it by chance during these years." King Song Daozhen coldly set aside, "This stick can contend with Qianyao. It's already a divine weapon. But throughout the world, I've never heard of such a treasure." Tia Buyi's face sank, and he said coldly, "Is emitting some black check considered demonic energy? Are a few red threads considered evil? If so, should I paint my face black and have you all treat me as a demon and kill me?" ZhuXian frowned. "Junior brother Tia, don't say such things. How could you call yourself a demonic person?" Tia Bai snorted, turned his head, and said nothing more. ZhuXian sighed and placed the fire stick on the nearby tea table, saying, "Today, I invited everyone here to discuss 2 matters. Firstly, Zhang Xiaofan unexpectedly possesses this strange artifact of unknown origin and great power. Secondly, when we discussed sending the 4 disciples to explore the Wanfu ancient cave on Kongsheng Mountain, everyone had no objections except for Zhang Zifan. Tia Bai's anger grew as he listened. initially puzzled by Zhang Xiaofan's sudden progress in cultivation and suspicious of the fire stick. But on this occasion, how could he not be angry? He stood up and said loudly, "Senior brother, what do you intend to do?" ZhuXian didn't expect Tia Bai to react so strongly. He was surprised, and others also looked at him with surprise. Sitting next to him, Feng Huifeng's head pulled his sleeve and said, "Bai, senior brother didn't say much. You sit down first." ZhuXian's face slightly darkened. "Junior brother Tia, you don't have to speak like this. How could you call yourself a demonic person?" Tia Bai sneered, saying nothing, and turned to leave. With a whistle outside the door, most likely he was flying away on his sword. In the hall, Zhang Xiaofan said to ZhuXian, Senior brother Tia is not feeling well. You don't have to take it to heart." ZhuXian sighed and shook his head. "I won't mind. I know junior brother Chan's character and trust him." At this point, he seemed to remember something, turned to Shu Yu, and said, "Junior sister Shu Yu, these days, that disciple of yours, Luxueqi ... Shu Yu said lightly, "Thank you for your concern. Senior brother, Zhuxian's health has largely recovered. If it weren't for that strange person and strange artifact from senior brother Qingyun Sect, she wouldn't have lost so much vital energy during the competition and wouldn't have lost to others." King Song's face changed. ZhuXian hurriedly waved his hand. "Oh, the matter has passed. Don't dwell on it." King Song and Shu Yu glared at each other, then turned away. ZhuXian sighed inwardly. His gaze involuntarily fell on the ugly black fire stick on the tea table next to him, quietly lying there.